So let's bring in another one of our favorite constitutional legal scholars for his take. He's also going to be a juror if there is an impeachment trial in the Senate. Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah. Good to have you back with us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Okay, so what do you make of what the president saying tonight? He's trying to address this point that came up again and again today about, in fact, I think that we have Professor Carlin was one of the folks testifying today. I think that we have her actually addressing this specific point.
And the president said, do us a favor. He was using the royal we there. It wasn't a favor for the United States. He should have said, do me a favor, because only kings say us when they mean me.
Okay, so the president's responded tonight. What do you make of it?
First of all, that was a very irresponsible statement by that professor. The fact that she would compare him to a monarch indicates she doesn't understand the meaning of the word tyranny. She doesn't understand the risk associated with the concentration of power. Look, all the president did here was ask the Ukrainian government to investigate a foreign company, a Ukrainian energy company called Burisma, one that the Obama administration had been arguing for years needed to be investigated. That somehow was wrong. That somehow subjects him to impeachment? I think not. But I think they're delusional in suggesting otherwise.
Okay, so you were part of this meeting today. I don't know how much you can tell us, but I understand there was, GOP senators there with the president's White House counsel talking about where they are on impeachment. And obviously a trial, if it comes, you're going to be one of the jurors. I mean, what did you learn today? How are they feeling?
Well, look, the meeting was off the record. We had some confidential discussions that were very helpful. What I can tell you is that White House counsel Pat Cipollone is doing a fantastic job. He's ready to go. If they were to move forward tomorrow, he'd be ready to go to trial tomorrow, and he'd win.
So what do you think it means in terms of the president and his legal team being able to call witnesses and people that we didn't hear from on the House side?
This is unprecedented, what we're seeing in the House with the president and his team, or any person being impeached and his team not being able to call witnesses, not having any due process rights. It's all unprecedented. The part that's even worse about it, though, Shannon, is that the reason why they're not giving them these procedural rights is because of the substance. The substance is lacking. They know that. They know their case is weak. So they try to cover it up by denying the president procedural rights. That compounds the problem. Okay, so it may look very different in the Senate if it lands there. Let's hear from a couple more of the folks today. Get your reaction. This is Noah Feldman, another professor, talking about why this has to happen, impeachment.
If we cannot impeach a president who abuses his office for personal advantage, we no longer live in a democracy. We live in a monarchy, or we live under a dictatorship. That's why the framers created the possibility of impeachment.
Your response?
First of all, this is just me, but it irritates me when people say we live in a democracy. It's a constitutional republic.
You and I have discussed this. It's not technically a democracy. It's not.
Exactly. There's a difference, and the difference does matter. Secondly, he's speaking in the abstract, in the hypothetical there. In part, I think, this might be subconscious on his part. I think deep down he knows that there's not something like that occurred here. There's nothing despotic or monarchical about what President Trump did here. He asked the Ukrainian government to do what President Obama tried and failed to do for years, which is get Ukraine to investigate Burisma. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. And to another panelist, this is now Michael Gerhardt, also a professor. They all are. I didn't have any of them in law school. I don't know if you did. But this is his take on the fact that Congress has to act here.
If there's no action, if Congress concludes they're going to give a pass to the president here, as Professor Carlin suggested earlier, every other president will say, okay, then I can do the same thing, and the boundaries will just evaporate.
And listen, the argument has been from the left all along, there doesn't have to be a crime in the sense that we understand it, a federal statute, that kind of thing. The House really does have a lot of a lot of room here when it comes to what they decide is going to be an impeachable offense.
Sure, it does. And you're right, it doesn't have to fit neatly within any category of any defined offense. Nonetheless, there does have to be something wrong, and they can't find it here. I was talking to my friend Congressman Matt Gaetz a couple of hours ago, and he told me, he said, listening to these guys today reminded me of why I hated law school. He said, I got tired of listening to these preachy liberal professors who were closed-minded in their views and only wanted to spout leftist ideology. That's what we saw there today from those three professors.
I had one who would fit that description, but also had purple hair and would cartwheel her way into class. There was no walking in through the regular door, so at least it was entertaining. It was a lot of fun.
That would be worth the price of tuition.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so now Professor Jonathan Turley, who's gotten a lot of heat from the left. A lot of people say he's total, well, and some, in the middle or on the right, too, who say he's getting this wrong. But here is what he's warning about.
If you rush this impeachment, you're going to leave half the country behind. And certainly that's not what what the framers wanted.
He's taken a lot of criticism today over his testimony.
He is. He is for making the unremarkable, non-controversial statement that there are consequences to doing this. Where does this lead? When the inevitable results from this, which is that impeachments become a circus, a perpetual political battle for the entire country to witness, depending on who's in political power, I think they'll regret this. And I think Professor Turley's right.
Okay, quickly, because we got to go. Do you think the vote happens before Christmas, or is this going to wait through the break and relaunch in January?
Look, if the House of Representatives decides to impeach, and I think it shouldn't, I think it's wrong to do it. If they are going to do it, I think they should do it before Christmas. I think they probably will do it before Christmas if they decide to make that mistake. But I do think it's a mistake.
All right, Senator, always good to have you. Thanks for coming in. All right,